All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dakota here with Luxvoni.com, coming at you live today with the one and only Entrepreneurial Psychology Masterclass. This is lesson number 5 of this masterclass, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about your agreeableness score on your Big 5 type indicator psychometric assessment and what this means for your potential, your occupations, and of course, if this is a good thing to have or score high in or low in when it comes to entrepreneurship. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, when we are talking about agreeableness, if you pull up your Big 5 type indicator right now, what I want you to do is I want you to see where you score on that. Are you average in agreeableness? Are you low in agreeableness? Or are you high in agreeableness? And now that you're looking at that, let's talk about what it is. Now, when it comes to agreeableness, this is a tendency to weigh other people's interests against your own. And this particular trait is really associated with 2 core components. We have one, compassion. People who are compassionate, they're interested in others' needs, they're interested in others' problems, and they're also very sympathetic and extremely generous with their time. When it comes to the second element here, politeness, people who are polite, they're often respectful of authority. They are not pushy or insulting, and they're very careful with their words. They're always scared to offend others, right? They're very professional, they're very polite, they're very generous, and they're very conscious of other people's emotions, if you will. Now, individuals who score high in agreeableness may seem extremely accommodating. These are your caregivers. These are your caring people. They're extremely helpful. However, there is some downside to scoring extremely high in agreeableness. And here's why. People who score high in agreeableness, they're often too caring. They are often excessively agreeable, and they often get into situations where this agreeableness becomes counterproductive for their own agenda, their own success, and reaching their own potential, right? So overly agreeable people, they're often exploited in the corporate world when it comes to corporations that leverage Big 5 type indicators. In admin roles and HR roles, a lot of the times they want these people to score relatively high in agreeableness because they know they'll stick with them for a long period of time. They're not someone that's going to be disagreeable. They're going to respect authority and everything in between. So this is something to take into consideration here. In clinical psychology, when it comes to psychotherapy, one of the biggest things that psychologists often do is they try to teach overly agreeable people assertiveness. And the reason why they do that is to try to bring that temperament back down a little bit so they can prioritize their own self, their own interest, over other people's. A lot of the times, people that are extremely agreeable, they're often not only exploited in the workplace, but they're also exploited in their relationships with their significant other or whatever it may be. So it's important to take that into consideration. Now, people who score high in agreeableness, yeah, they're caring. They're interested in others' problems. They're very sympathetic with other people's feelings, and they thrive off helping others, even if it's not in the best interest of themselves. People who score high in agreeableness also respect authority. They don't really like belittling others. They hate to seem, real pushy. They don't like pushing their opinions and their agenda on other people. And they often avoid conflict. They hate insulting people, and they're not people who stand up for themselves and express their opinions without considering how they're going to be perceived when it comes to that opinion. Now, the cool thing is when it comes to men and women, believe it or not, women seem to be way higher when it comes to agreeableness than men. People who score low in agreeableness do often receive higher salaries, and they're typically often less likely to be exploited by others because, of course, they have more of a disagreeable personality type. Now, let's talk about career paths. If you scored high in agreeableness, here's some things you can consider. Counselor, principal, nurse, assistant, teacher, preacher, veterinarian, nonprofit organizer, or human resources. If you scored low in agreeableness, Here's some things occupations you can consider as well. We have entrepreneurship and founders, C-suite executives, CFOs and accountants, sales professionals, engineers, scientists, surgeons, authors, and venture capitalists. So based off this occupation list, and we talk about entrepreneurship, where do you want to be on here? Now, I'm not saying you need to be extremely low in agreeableness, but you want to be a little bit below average. It can give you a massive edge as an entrepreneur. The lower it is, the better for entrepreneurship, probably, but you just want to take that into consideration. So if you score high in agreeableness, you may have issues going against the grain, and you may also have issues prioritizing your agenda, which makes being a successful entrepreneur very hard when it comes to comparing entrepreneurs to people that are more disagreeable, if you will. Now, in order for you to succeed as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to deal with high amounts of stress, right? You're going to have to deal with tons of conflict. In many cases, you're going to need to be able to put your emotions aside and do what's in the best interest of your company. And sometimes that requires putting your company first over other people's emotions and feelings. You're also going to have to prioritize your agenda before anyone else's, and you're going to have to be somebody that can constantly respect their time. A lot of entrepreneurs that score extremely high in agreeableness, they have issues with all of these things. They end up overwhelmed, they end up very resentful, and they end up often getting exploited by people, and they end up in bankruptcy court on some extreme occasions. So entrepreneurs who score high in agreeableness, these individuals will place those emotions over everything else. So average agreeableness is fine here. Low in agreeableness is extremely good, but high in agreeableness can give you a massive disadvantage as an entrepreneur. So if you scored above average in agreeableness, what can you do? What's some steps that you can take? The first one is, as always, go visit, go find, go vet, go qualify a clinical psychologist so you can get on a regular practice and start working with this person. They're going to teach you how to be more assertive. They're going to teach you how to not get exploited. They're going to teach you how to really disable this agreeableness to some extent and get it back to a good level for you. The next thing that we have here is understanding. Don't shy away from conflict, embrace it. The highest paid jobs are often the highest conflict jobs. So if you want to go in and make a lot of money as a professional and have a lot of fulfillment, you've got to have some conflict in there. Next piece that we have here is remember you can't control other people's beliefs, perceptions, and thoughts. So don't constantly worry about what other people think of you. We all have different personalities. We all have different beliefs. We all perceive the world in a different way. So don't really worry about it and constantly think about how you're perceived, right? The next piece that we have here is stand up for what you believe in. Express yourself. Stand up for yourself. And remember, those who are low in agreeableness, they typically rise to the top of any corporate hierarchy. The lower you score, the better. You're not going to be exploited. You're going to be able to innovate. You're going to be able to lead better. You're going to be able to push people and evolve them into a better leader or a better manager than they were before. And unfortunately, if you score too high in agreeableness, you're not going to be able to do those things. The next piece that we have here is practice saying no more than yes. One of the hardest things as an entrepreneur is when you have tons of things going on. Everything's flying at you. Clients here, managers here, customers here, employees here, and it's often not being able to say no. And then you say yes, which overloads your back, and then you end up in wacky situations with bad expectations. So be sure you understand that, say no first, yes second. And you can always say, no, I can't do this right now, but let me revisit this in a week. You don't have to be rude here. The last thing that we have here is don't spend your whole life living for others. You came into this world alone, you're going to die alone. The longest relationship that you're going to have is going to be with yourself. So do not be scared to prioritize yourself. It's very important. Put your own agenda, put your own success, put your own work towards getting you to where you want to go. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't take all of your savings and give it to a family member who has a trend of not sticking with their word and not paying you back. You know these individuals are hurting you. You're hurting yourself. You know it's a bad situation, so just step out of it. Now, that concludes lesson number 5 of the Entrepreneurial Psychology Masterclass. We'll see you on lesson number 6, where we're going to be talking about your openness score. After that particular lesson, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. I'm going to show you guys some mixes of personality types that are the best for entrepreneurship. So stay tuned. That will be coming in just a couple of days. If you enjoyed this video, do us a huge favor. We're uploading all this content for free to give you guys some insight and get you guys to the next level. So a little subscribe, a little thumbs up, a little comment below. If you have questions, throw them in the comments. We're going to answer every single one of them. And also, if you haven't hit that little ring bell notification and you enjoy this type of content, make sure you do that for us so you're constantly notified when we release a video, which is basically every single freaking day. So enjoy the day, be great, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.